Welcome back to BRMC's Healthy Connections. Mandy Pender, Trauma 3 Level Coordinator at Baxter Regional Medical Center, and we've been talking about how to keep adults, children safe during the holidays. You were mentioning about the life jackets themselves, and most boat docks or Walmarts have them for sale and they're Coast Guard approved. But what do you look for on a jacket? Because don't they come in all sorts of different sizes?
They do, they do. They're weight-based, so your life jacket should fit your child snugly. Your child needs to be within that range. I know sometimes we like to buy things a little big because they could maybe get a couple of years worth in on that life jacket, but it really isn't the safe thing to do. If your life jacket is too loose, you can pull on the shoulders of your life jacket after it's strapped in, your child is strapped up, pull on the shoulder part of that life jacket. And if it comes up in their chin and it's able to
look like
slide,
a turtle,
and they look like a turtle, that life jacket is too loose.
Okay.
You don't want your child to fall out.
Yeah, they could slip out of it when they're in the water.
They're slippery, they're in the water.
Yeah.
Of course, the life jacket's going up, the body's going down. You don't want that to happen. So
Sure.
you want that life jacket. Of course, my daughter always says, "This is so tight." Yes, it is. And that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be snug. You don't want it up here in their ears where the top part is around their ears. It needs to be, it sometimes floats up to here, but it needs to be around their shoulders, fit snug, and do all the straps. Even that bottom strap, there's on some of them that goes between the legs and belts up at the waist. You need to do every one of your straps, and that way that ensures your child to be safely secured so they don't fall out.
See, you could just imagine somebody that didn't do that, just, did a casual, a couple of straps and you're fine. I mean, we've all done that.
Yes.
It's just like, after the more you get into it, you're boating all the time, you've got the life jackets, and you kind of forget how necessary how terrible you'd feel if something happened to your child.
If something happened to your kiddo, and they have to be secured. Even if you're just sitting on the boat and the boat is just driving slow, your child needs to be buckled in that life jacket. It can't just be loosely on and hanging on. Now, as adults, we just have to have a life jacket in the boat. But really, if you wear your life jacket, your kids will be lifelong wearers of their life jackets, and that just keeps you safe. That's the number one thing that will prevent drownings is life jackets.
Sure.
It's a preventable thing. A lot of our injuries that we see in the trauma center are preventable things. Other things are just accidents, and accidents happen. But something like a drowning, a life jacket could save a life.
Would have very possibly prevented it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with our state and being a level 3 trauma center, our state gave us a grant, and we were able to give out life jackets at the health fair. And we
back
got to
in
fit
April.
those kids back in April,
Yeah.
and that was a lot of fun. And we just did a lot of education about it and talked to the parents, and they had to sign a contract with us that they promised to wear that life jacket. The kids did, and the parents did.
Oh, that's great.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
We talked to those kids that we always wear our life jacket, and we never get in the water without mom and dad. And that's something with pools at your house, or even just a tiny wading pool. We've seen that happen with the tiny wading pools in the backyards.
Yeah, it doesn't
and
take
things.
much to drown in.
It doesn't take much water. Our kids are playing in the backyard. Your pool needs to be fenced in. They recommend a fence 4 foot tall with 4 sides and a latching gate. Of course, our kids are clever, and they can climb, and they can try to get in there. And if they see a toy bouncing in that water, they want to get in there. So they try to keep your pools free of toys or a ball.
When it's not in use, you bet.
They even make alarms for your pool gate and your pools. That
Really?
If there's, yes.
Oh,
If there's any kind of activity or movement, if that gate comes open, there's an alarm that'll go off, so at least you know. Because sometimes those kids are very ready. They might be waiting for brother and sister to get their sunscreen on, and they're waiting patiently, but they're not patiently enough, and they're going to try to jump in on you.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure our kids are confident, but we want to make sure that they also are safe. I know they get overly confident, and they want to just jump right in there. I know my daughter does. So she knows better, though. She has to wear her life jacket or her puddle jumper, which is a form of a life jacket that's U.S. Coast Guard approved. And if we don't wear it, we sit in timeout. So she knows better now.
Which is all for their benefit, whether they know it or not. And
it is.
And I can think back with when there weren't a lot of these things available, and I'm thinking, oh, thank goodness my kids were safe.
Exactly.
Even though they weren't always safe, because they would be at neighbor's house and the rules weren't as enforced as they were at our own. So
Right.
yeah.
And when we have people over at our house, we need to make sure, or at our river, wherever we're at, having a party or having kids over and things like that, you need to make sure that they know the rules also.
Yeah.
And that's what we do at our house. We tell them what the rules are. We don't play rough, and we don't dive in the shallow end. Of course, you need to be diving in 9 feet or higher. That's what they recommend. And so we don't dive in the shallow end and things like that. So everybody knows the rules, but you're right. Not everyone follows your rules.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that your kids are aware of how we act, even if mom and dad aren't there.
Yeah, if you're at somebody else's house, your home rules still apply. Always
Exactly
make sure
right.
that you're using those rules.
Yes.
So there's so many things. Let's go back for just a second. We've been talking about with the life jackets, but we were talking about fireworks and on sparklers. You've brought some things today that I had no idea of. One, I do want to mention that Arkansas Children's Hospital treats injuries of the hands, eyes, and face most often when fireworks are involved.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it's not those big injuries that we really see around here very rarely, but we see these little injuries to the hands, eyes, and face, and burns. And of course, Arkansas Children's Hospital is the only burn center in the state of Arkansas. We do sometimes send some of our burns to Mercy in Springfield. But they recommend standing when you're playing with your sparklers, and standing still, not swinging them around like we do. We always want to dance with them and things. You're actually not supposed to be dancing around with your sparklers. And something they recommend is, you could light those sparklers. You can stick them in the ground and light them one at a time, and they look equally as pretty as when we're holding them.
Yeah, when you were talking about how hot the end of that gets, and I mean, it's a conductor, it's metal, so
Yes, up to 2,000 degrees.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You don't think of handing your child a blowtorch, but that's what that equals to, is a blowtorch. And of course, with our babies and our smaller children, don't hold your smaller children and hold a sparkler in the other hand, because they'll want to reach out and grab that, or something might happen and they might get burned. We don't want anyone to get burned. We want them to have a good 4th of July this year.
And all of these suggestions, rules to follow, have come because people have not followed them. And you've seen the results coming through the ER doors,
Yes,
the
we have,
Klein Emergency Center doors. And it's just tragic.
It is.
So,
it is. That's part of what we do as trauma coordinators. We abstract data, and we submit it to the state, and the state compiles all those statistics that we see and all this helpful information. And that's what they've been doing with the trauma centers and things. And that makes us a healthier state, decreases our mortality rates and our injuries. And we're seeing now that we are actually have injury prevention programs and things, that our mortality rates are going down. We see that our injuries are more preventable and are treatable instead of resulting in death. So we're really doing well in the state of Arkansas.
Well,
now.
I know you and Kelly, your cohort, your partner in crime.
Yes.
Your trauma coordinator, Kelly Dix, and the two of you do an awesome job, and making sure that the community is educated. I know that you do all sorts of different outreach programs for them, and the entire year. Things that people don't think of. I'm going to jump back to another season, but I always think of the one that you tell us, that when we have all of the horrible winter that we had this last year, ladies and gentlemen, do you really need to go out and get your mail?
Exactly right.
Let it sit out there for a couple of days till the driveway is plowed or the sidewalks are safe. Don't go out there when it's a sheet of ice. And the number of people that you saw that were going out to get their newspaper or their mail.
It was huge numbers.
Yeah.
Usually you think of trauma happening in the summertime. You think of car accidents and boating accidents and things like that. Our winter has been so busy with our ice and snow. We had so many falls and so many head injuries and things. It was just a very busy winter. We just try to get the word out to remind everyone to be safe.
And sometimes that's all it is. It's that getting the word out to remind people, because they've gotten themselves into such a routine. You know, at 6 in the
Exactly
morning,
right.
I'm going to go get my paper.
Exactly
It goes
right.
with my coffee, you know. And in some cases, it's like, no, just forget it.
Yes.
So we're not sure how the mail got through or the newspaper, but
Right.
but they did. So yeah, just let it go.
Yes.
So, Mandy, will you come back and see us again
Of course.
soon? On
Love to.
Because you just bring the best stuff with you, all sorts of great suggestions, and we just love having you on the show. So
Oh,
come back
thank
and see us again soon, and bring Miss Kelly with you.
Yes, we will.
All right, we'll see you again soon, and we'll see you again next week on BRMC's Healthy Connections.